Had he disclosed the truth behind Raccoon City, the U.S. would have lost all its authority, and the global political order would have collapsed. He had to be stopped! He was leading my country and this world into complete chaos. Ah!
The United States has a long history with Umbrella, buying products from Umbrella and turning a blind eye to their dark work. It's well established these two had a relationship. In this Resident Evil 9 theory video, I want to explore two things. Since it's revealed in the official synopsis, Grace will be uncovering a hidden secret involving Raccoon City's outbreak. What will happen to the United States if this involvement went public, starting the dark prophecy Derek Simmons tried so hard to stop? Then I want to explain why I believe Grace will be the person to uncover this information and why Capcom chose her specifically. If you want a deep lore look into the United States and Umbrella's history, I already made a video on it, link at the top right part of your screen now, the description, or simply at the end of this video.
The truth. Truth? They demand the truth. The viral weapon from which Umbrella Corporation's T-Virus was derived. They want to reveal everyone from the US government who was involved in its manufacture.
Was the government really involved?
All the proof went up in smoke along with Raccoon City.
What would happen if this information on Raccoon City became public? Well, I'll let Derek Simmons explain this part.
Are you here to avenge the president? Is that it? You fool. Had he disclosed the truth behind Raccoon City, the U.S. would have lost all its authority, and the global political order would have collapsed.
So to avoid one possible disaster, you create another, no matter how many people die?
He had to be stopped! He was leading my country and this world into complete chaos. Ah!
I believe the United States would lose its place at the top of global power because all countries would turn their back on the US and even condemn them. Since Raccoon's events, Pandora's box has been opened on the world, and the world itself has been threatened with BOWs time and time again. All the main title Resident Evil games have been affected by Umbrella's past in almost every single region. In Resident Evil 4, although Las Plagas was built from nature, Lewis, who was an ex-Umbrella employee, helped cultivate the parasite and helped Sadler. But more importantly, Wesker, an Umbrella creation, got his hands on Las Plagas. He gave some of it to Tricell and they put it on the black market and used the Africans we saw in the game for experiments. They created a Type 3 Plaga which was unleashed on that region. All of it was Tricell's doing, starting the events of Resident Evil 5. Wesker also refined Las Plagas and used it to create Ouroboros, with the sole intention of destroying all of humanity by infecting the earth with the parasite. He would lead the 1% of humans who survived, and they had to be compatible with Ouroboros. He would lead them in the new world with himself as a god. In Resident Evil 6, Europe was greatly affected by BOWs infected with the new strain of the C virus, made by Simmons and Carla as part of the family's experiments. Simmons also unleashed a strain of the T virus, an Umbrella creation in gas form, to kill the president and destroy Tall Oaks, but that same T virus gas form was unleashed on China, causing a massive outbreak that killed thousands of people. China, Africa, and Europe, and the entire planet has been threatened by bioweapons that either originated from or is connected to Umbrella's past. Not to mention the smaller wars and conflicts the United States was involved in and wanted to test their bioweapons. The dark side of the government runs so deep it affects every other country in their wake. Even conspiracies like manipulating the president just to go to war with China for the sole purpose of selling government weapons to different countries. This is what Simmons wanted to avoid. Full disclosure could be the end of the United States as we know it. Imagine every single country, every single superpower turning their back on America. Hell, they might even take it one step further and attack America. Revenge for all the shit that has happened ever since Raccoon City in this 30-year-long franchise. But Let's bring it back to Resident Evil 9. Once again, if we look at the synopsis for Resident Evil 9, what other hidden truth could there be that involves the outbreak? There is only one left. If Grace is going to uncover the hidden truth behind the outbreak, it can't be Umbrella's involvement because that's already known to the public. The only hidden truth about Raccoon City is the United States' involvement, and if that gets out, the reality Simmons was willing to destroy a whole region of the United States and kill the president in order to avoid coming true will actually happen. Let's take a closer look at why Capcom chose Grace for a story like this, and why it fits into the theory that the United States' involvement with BOWs will finally be exposed.
Special one, the chosen one, Miss Ashcroft.
If we look at the synopsis for Resident Evil 9, it says, Grace prepares to finally face the past and makes her way to the scene, but this one case leads to uncovering the hidden truth behind the outbreak in Raccoon City, the biological disaster that shook the world. I think it's to draw similarities between past and present. Within the lore of Alyssa, her mother, she played a big part in the Raccoon trials. She was an investigative reporter who researched things like missing people and corrupt hospitals. After she survived Raccoon City, she would type up an article called What is a BOW? She detailed her experience through Raccoon and connected Umbrella to Raccoon City. This played a major role in getting Umbrella to disband, go bankrupt, and eventually shut down. She would continue her career investigating people around the Bakers area in Resident Evil 7. I think Grace, her daughter, was chosen to do the same thing. Alyssa exposed one side of the coin, which was Umbrella's connection, and Grace will expose the other side of that coin 30 years later, which is the US government's involvement with the city's destruction. When it comes to symbolism, Grace and Alyssa share a whole lot. Alyssa's first cutscene in Outbreak, if you choose her, is her staring at her laptop, working hard.
There was a disruption earlier at today's football match between the Raccoon Sharks and the Old Court Thunders. Apparently the game was interrupted when an unruly fan got out of control and sparked a riot. The number of injured is not yet known.
Grace's first appearance in Requiem is the exact same, staring at her computer, investigating. Alyssa wearing a red jacket while Grace wears a very similar jacket except it's black. Alyssa being shown in a flashback while Grace is going to be following in her footsteps, investigating the same exact place in the hotel. I think these subtle hints show their stories are connected. Now let's dive a little bit deeper into the conspiracy. Grace works for a government as a FBI agent. Grace's superior asked her of all people to go to the hotel where her mother was murdered, and a mysterious character was already waiting for Grace. He calls her the Chosen One and even says her last name. This figure was clearly expecting her. Speaking of her superior, Nathan, he seems pretty remorseful, as if he doesn't want to send Grace there. Perhaps he's being blackmailed or is a part of the family organization, the shadow government that exists within the actual government. It would make sense since Resident Evil 6 we learned that this shadow government has a name. The family. The family has existed for centuries. The family showing up here could make a lot of sense. They may want the antibodies Grace inherited from her mother, Alyssa. Alyssa took the Daylight vaccine, so perhaps this organization knows that Daylight has mutated and changed form within a second generation. Perhaps this is why she is called the Chosen One. So why would this figure be there waiting for Grace specifically? How would he know she would even end up there? I think it's because the family still exists within the US government and got their claws on Nathan, her superior. It would make sense because if you look at the files for Resident Evil 6, it's revealed shortly after Derek Simmons dies that there is a new leader and that they replaced him almost instantly. In Resident Evil Vendetta, we learned Leon and the DSO was hunting down the members of the family but never finished their work. Leon, once again, was being put in the middle of a government conspiracy in a movie. Who would have guessed? In conclusion, the only hidden truth that's been looming over this entire franchise is the dark side of the United States of America. This is a brilliant way to wrap up a 30-year-long franchise. It all started with Arklay and Raccoon City. It makes sense that the truth about Raccoon City is finally going to be revealed, even if it only took 3 decades to do it. It's time to shake things up one last time. But that's just a theory, a Resident Evil theory. Thanks for watching.